Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, BW, for inviting me to moderate this important panel on the subject of health and well-being on sustainability perspective. Just to set the context, I think it's very important to know the current area where we are standing and where the future goes, and what is the contribution which sustainability plays an important role in the entire healthcare sector, right? In recent years, the healthcare industry in India has witnessed a remarkable growth and transformation. With increasing population, if you see technology advancement and the ongoing global focus on sustainability, it has become imperative for healthcare organization to adopt eco-friendly practices, and which is the theme for today's session. The healthcare industry is one of the most important sectors in the world. And I'm going to share some of these stats, right, which is mind-boggling. The healthcare sector is responsible for about 8% of the country's total energy consumption, right? The healthcare sector is also responsible and contribute about 4% of global greenhouse gas emissions, right? And this is certainly very important to address this important thing. These stats emphasize the urgent need for sustainable practices and energy efficient solution within the healthcare sector, right? I have worked for the FMCG sector and the IT organization, which again contributes a lot of initiatives on health, on the environment and sustainability, and we have led great practices there. And in this panel, I would like to take the opportunity to share some of those practices also, right? That how we have implemented it in terms of sustainable initiatives. In fact, the healthcare industry is heavily dependent on the labor force, right? Whose health is equally important for the successful implementation of sustainable initiatives. The UN ESG goal number 8 specifically addresses the promotion of sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment and decent work for all. And that's what the healthcare industry in India is focusing on to create the initiatives towards that. So I have a great panel here, and we delve into the discussion of the important points, certain critical highlights which we would like to see today from the thought leaders in the panel, right? And I invite Dr. Sanjeev Singh, who is joining us online, and Mr. Ravjot Singh Arora, who's the Director, Medulance. Welcome, Ravjot, right? So, please confirm if Dr. Singh, Dr. Singh is there in the session. Good afternoon, Dr. Singh, how are you doing?
Thank you so much. It's a real pleasure to join with an August gathering.
Thank you so much. In the positivity of the time, I will straight away go with the important question, Doctor. You have been managing the largest healthcare facilities in India, and you have established very, very efficiently. And the first point we would like to know from you that how can the adoption of green technologies contribute to reducing the environmental impact and promoting a more sustainable future for healthcare facilities in India? I would like to throw some lights from your previous experience on the setup of one of the largest hospital which you have done, Amrita Hospitals in Faridabad. Please share your insights. Over to you, Dr. Singh.
Thank you so much. Is my slide visible?
Yes, doctor. You can put it in a slide mode.
Right. Is this in a slideshow mode?
Not exactly, doctor.
Okay. Anyway, in the paucity of time, I'll just get started, because what I wanted to bring to attention to the gathering who is there is we have built this 2,600 bed hospital in Faridabad, and the plan and design basically wanted to have a green hospital so that it's more sustainable. We are a not-for-profit hospital, so every penny which comes is either through a university or through public donations, and it really concerns us. So as a green hospital, what generally happens, what the point which I wanted to make is that this is how the distribution is, that there is a conventional hospital and 60% of the energy is through air conditioning. Unfortunately, wherever we want to talk about sustainability or energy efficiency, we generally look at closing of lifts or switching into an LED bulb, but the power of saving lies somewhere else. So it's 60% at conditioning, close to 18% at lighting and various appliances, and then wherever there is difference of the temperature. So what we need to do is in the plan and design look at, but it is just not for the new hospital. It could be done in an existing hospital. So wall and roof optimization is very critical. And if you create that kind of an insulation, that has an important impact. And the energy saving is close to 6% just by doing this. If you look at glazing and optimization at the facade, if you look at glazing and optimization, the energy saving is close to 24%. If you look at just the shading analysis, which is also as per the wind flow and as per the northern and eastern positioning of the hospital and various shading from as per summer and winter, the energy saving is another 2%, so that's 26%. Natural ventilation, if that is sort of taken care of, because there is open to sky area, which is extremely important to be kept. But generally, we tend to have more of patient care area and tend to extract more from the existing building structure. But then it is important to have the natural ventilation that is close to 32% of saving. If you create an earth air tunnel and air handling unit is properly placed where this distribution of the radiation happens appropriately, the energy saving is close to 36%. If you have an evaporative cooling mechanism, because that is where you put in your resource for your water treatment plant or your high sides and the low side, the energy saving equals to 40%. If you have a high efficiency energy lighting, and if that is brought in, then energy saving is close to 44%. If you also have an efficient exterior lighting, then the energy saving is close to 45%. If you have some of the energy efficient appliances, which would be a 5-star rating, which is not a very highly sold criteria, but it is to be sort of practiced, the energy saving is close to 50%. And then a very efficient HVAC system where you have a VFD, VRV, and very properly designed insulated mechanism, the energy saving is close to 55%. And then renewable energy generations, which are many right now. It could be having a solar panel, which is possibly very. So all our boundary walls has solar panel, all our terraces has solar panel, and that leads to a lot of energy saving. That is 61%. Because we have extremes of temperature, we are there in near to the capital region. The solar hot water is critical, and properly designing solar hot water. So what I'm trying to put in across to the audience is that just LED or lifts or switching off lights doesn't help. It is air conditioning, which is 60%. And if you do all of this in a newer hospital as a planner, good plan and design, or in an existing hospital, if you refurbish at least portion of it, you would save a lot of energy, and that is 63%. And that is how it would become energy efficient. So that's it from my side. Over to you.
Sure, Doctor. Thank you so much. I think it's a very insightful, and it must be noted that these are the industry benchmark or practices which Dr. Sanjeev has adopted in his setup of one of the largest hospital. And it is an urge to all the other hospital which is coming up that they should also focus towards creating a sustainable healthcare units by reducing the greenhouse gases emission and saving the power to the extent of 60%. Right? Now my next question is to Ravjot. And Ravjot, you have been managing the various initiatives in your organization from a sustainability perspective. So would you like to share some of the insights on these programs, what you have implemented in your organization?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So as Dr. Singh mentioned, most of the energy conservations which can be implemented on the hospital side, be it for the energy efficiency or be it from the coming back from the HVAC systems or coming back from the LEDs and different things. So they're in medical, so we're coming from a medical transportation background, right? So Medulance is an emergency service provider coming back from running of ambulances across the country. So for us, the major thing comes for the biomedical waste also to convert it into the BMW, right, where we get a lot of, if you see the recent government norm, so the water dispenser has been removed from the ambulance, right? Just because the water was being thrown out, right, randomly from the ambulances across the country. So in the new AIS 125 norms which the government has launched, you will only find a sanitizer and the biomedical waste dustbins. You would not find a water dispenser over there where a person is washing their dirty hands or a blood hands, and that is, because there is no root out also. It is not something that, and when we deal with medical waste, it is hazardous as well. It is not something that, you can just eradicate it in your normal dustbins of your homes and everything like that. So that is one part where we're coming in from the biomedical waste part of view. And the other part where we also take about is the life cycle of medical equipments, right? So we tend to extend the life cycle of the medical equipments because unlike hospitals, right, the ventilator is not used for days and months. Right, so the ventilator might be only used in a journey for half an hour, 1 hour, right? So we also focus that the existing devices can be refurbished, recycled, and can be used, and their life cycle is extended to a point where we are not disposing them in a 5-year tenure or a 7-year tenure, but the ventilator can be used for much more area as well. Third point comes for the sustainability transportation, right? So that would be another thing, but if I just tell you that even for hospitals, right, how people are reducing their energies in the way of thing is like going for a sustainable transportation in the way that you see carpooling is happening in a lot of ways. You see that the hospitals are making their own buses to route out and everything. What this actually affects is the multiple emissions which are done, right? From like if there are 20 people using their own cars and instead there's one bus going, so it reduces that emission. So that is how it is going about for the practices which are followed across the healthcare industries for the same.
Sure. Ravjot, thank you so much. I would like to, quickly tell you that initiatives, what we have done in my last organization, which is one of the top FMCG in the country, on reducing or managing the solid waste in the organization. I'm just giving example on the Bangalore perspective. 6,623 tons of waste is being generated in the city, right? Which is almost 1.8 lakh plus tons in a month, right? And this is certainly going to the landfill and it's creating the havoc in the entire environment. So what we did is we have adopted the strategy of 3R, which is reduce, reuse, and recycle, right? We have formed the committee, the council, where they were responsible for taking these initiatives, right? And we did the audit of all the factories, that what is the quantum of the waste which is being generated from a dry or a wet waste, right? And all the dry waste, we started doing the recycling, which was used in the offices in terms of, the tissue papers and, the various other, in fact, in the furnitures also, we use those as a tabletop, right, when you recycle that. And all the wet waste which was generated, we have created an eco-green center, and we have installed the OWC, which is called as Organic Waste Converter. And we started creating into a manure, right? And we started using that in our gardens and giving it to the employees and so on and so forth. And various competition we have done it in the past in the last organization. But it is very critical that how do you create a ripple effect of the best practices? And that's what we started talking to other companies, and glad that companies in Bangalore and other parts of the country are adopting these environment and sustainable practices very, very efficiently. My question to Dr. Sanjeev, again, is that, the buzzword and the initiative which companies are taking is through ESG goals, right? How are you implementing that into the business strategies, right? How are you making it as a top priority? Over to you, Dr. Singh.
Thank you, Mr. Nandan, and excellent to hear, Ravjot. I am surprised that even at ambulance level, it could be sort of thought through, and fantastic efforts at Bangalore through your organization, Nandan. So very, very well done. I think it is important. ESG is the buzzword, and what is very critical for us is we are a not-for-profit organization, and it's a university teaching hospital which we have established. So intent again is to create an awareness, have some kind of a strategy and management practices in place. There are ESG standards which is already there, and what we want to adopt is look at the best practices across the world, look at and best practices at the NGO levels, which could be sort of analyzed well and adopted, so as to bring action to the ground level. We have worked a lot on the carbon emission. There are lots of community level work which has been done to reduce the carbon footprints. We have worked extensively with Public Health Foundation and Ministry of Health in doing this. We also have worked extensively with protection of the patient rights. We have a patient advisory council where patient participates in our decision making, so that his or her rights during admission and any procedures are always protected. We tend to bring in diversity, and we have just started with 500 beds. We have 300 faculty, and all of them have sort of come from all over the globe. And that's the diversity which we bring in. And again, the intent is that there be a transparency within the system, and an adoption where a 360-degree feedback analysis is done. So our intent again is to collect data to basically enhance the matrix systems, looking at performance evaluation, looking at our own balance sheet, though we are a not-for-profit, but to forecast the revenue analysis, to be able to see that we make a difference. And even for this sustainability and green hospital, though it is still 9 months in existence, but whatever we have put in a place, it looks like there could be a decent energy saving of 1.2 CR. And if we sort of keep sustaining it, there would be a good payback system. So that's it from my side, and we would like to hear more from both of you.
Sure, Dr. Sanjeev, thank you so much. Coming back to Ravjot. Ravjot, when you are managing the ambulances services, right, which is again a very critical part of the healthcare deliverable, what are some of the measures which you have taken in your organization to reduce the carbon emissions? You spoke about the electrical vehicles, right? I think that is the future. So please throw some lights on how are you adopting those practices?
So to tell you frankly, right, so how we are doing it, firstly, Medulance has a network of around 7,500 plus ambulances across the country, right? Wow. So dispatching a nearest ambulance to the patient is also reducing that carbon emission, right, in a way. Then secondly, coming back, you would be aware that, these efforts by the government are being constantly made. There was CNG which was introduced back then. Hydrogen fuel never came out to the public, right? And now the EV is the new buzzword where everybody is converting into the EV vehicles. Now coming from ambulances, right? CNG does not work with ambulances because it becomes highly inflammable, right? And coming to EVs, so when we talk about reducing carbon emissions in terms of ambulances, so we can't do a long distance kind of a patient journey on an EV, right? Because then my loss of energy is at a loss of life, right? So I would not compare that. I would be like, for me, it's my preference is life rather than a loss of energy. But when you take it as a city, you take it as a city of Delhi, take it as a city of Bangalore. Over here, where the infrastructure is there can be EV ties with the ambulance as well. So currently, the government has not allowed it, and there's no registered EV ambulance in the country currently. But yeah, we are working towards with different EV companies and EV truck companies where, we can pilot it out and see how much is the range. So last year only it was launched in London, right? It was like East England Ambulance Services is a company name. So where the top speed was 75 miles and the range is 110 miles, right? But when these drawbacks come for an ambulance, right, it becomes a matter of life. So we have to be very sure whether the infrastructure is available, whether we don't want to charge our vehicles, we just want to plug and play the batteries. True. Right? My ambulance goes there, I want a battery discharge where I get the different battery and get it plugged in there. I would not go and, wait, make an ambulance wait because the cost of infrastructure is also very high.
Exactly.
So reducing carbon emissions in ambulances, I think that's a next 5-year plan where, even the NTPC has a Go Green plan, right? True. They don't want to burn coal and give you electricity, right? So that is how we are also focusing towards that, how the entire ecosystem or even from metros can be change making basically.
Sure. Thank you, Ravjot,
Thank you
for your insights. And I've seen, Bangalore being the IT capital of India, not only the healthcare centers, but also the IT companies are adapting this technology of EV vehicles. And I've seen a lot of the adoption rate is going very, very high. And I think that's the future, certainly, for sustainable initiatives. Dr. Singh, back to you again. Please share some of the thoughts in terms of, again, best practices, which hospitals at various levels, the small, medium, or large, right? What initiatives they can implement towards minimizing the environmental footprints, right? Hospitals have got a huge, the backup of the funding and all, but there are centers which has got a challenge, right, on those aspects. So how do they practice these initiatives?
So, very, very good question, Mr. Nandan. What is important is, again, working with the community. And working with the community which is near you or have that kind of an connect with the neighborhood is extremely critical. So we have our parent organization is in Cochin, which is a 1350-bed university teaching hospital. There's a program which is called as Amala Bharatam, where we look at sanitation and hygiene and we clean campuses. And we go ahead and clean Sabrimala, Pampa River and remove all the waste from there so that to make it clean. And we have the community also participate with us. Here, when we came into Delhi NCR, it was a new setup. There are gated communities, there are resident welfare associations. So we worked with them. We established a clinic at that level at all. So one RWA would have 3,000 plus flats and 10,000 inhabitants. So we worked with them for tree plantation and cleaning of the campuses and adopting another area within the city and clean it. So that's one where neighborhood and connecting with the community would help. We also, there is a dialysis membrane, dialysis which is done in almost every hospital. And we have collaborated with the Israeli government. And they have a fantastic technology where they use the dialysis membrane to clean water. Now, water need to be potable, and we know the condition of the water is not too good within the country. But it's a very and dialysis membrane is a reusable membrane, which could be sort of easily used. It is cheaper in technology, but the kind of water which gets purified and it translates any kind of water into a portability using that technology. So that is again very important. Third important thing is that whenever our faculty and staff are free, they come to a central Aarti court where we do our bhajans generally morning and evening, where the patient and the family members participate. We have a seed ball campaign. So there is some mud, there is some cow dung and a seed. So they just come during whenever they have a free time. They make seed balls. And they make plenty of seed balls. So we have close to 2,000 people employed right now, and they make close to 10,000 seed balls per day. And we throw these seed balls at various locations, and eventually there would be a sapling which would grow, and the tree plantation would happen. So a very, very simple and a very interesting way of participating. There is another thing which we have done is basically look at reusability, and in at least in the state of Kerala there is a lot of banana fibers which are there. So if you see, menstrual hygiene is an important aspect where we don't talk about it, and the sanitary pads, the disposable of sanitary pad doesn't happen in 30 years, it doesn't happen in 100 years, it will not happen in 200 years, it will not happen in 300 years. It will take generations to dispose those plastics which the sanitary pad which has been used. We are putting up a manufacturing plant at various locations using banana fibers and having a reuse sanitary pads. So that it is, and once a pad is made, it could be reused for at least 6 to 7 months. So it may be a newer idea, but it is extremely important. It gets cheaper. Second, it becomes extremely critical for us to participate. And it is important what Ravjot mentioned about carpooling. We have, I come being a medical director, I come on a bicycle to the hospital because it's important to just lead the whole campaign for people to realize that it is not about just showbizzing what needs to be done, but lead by example. Carpooling has been done for last 25 years in our institution. We have in a car park, we have an EV EV station, which has already been sort of designed. So there are many aspects. We need to work with our faculty. We need to work with our staffing. We need to have a proper plan and design. We need to work with the community. And I think we can really make a difference. But a forum like this, which the business world has created, is extremely important, where we can share whatever practices has been done.
Sure, Dr. Sanjeev Singh. Thank you so much. Very insightful and meaningful. And I think what is coming out is the collaboration. Nothing can be done alone. It has to be collaborative approach. And most important thing is that the value system which you need to create in the entire ecosystem. When I say values, it's about taking ownership, accountability, and sense of urgency, right? Like you mentioned that you are coming in a bicycle, and a lot of good initiatives have been taken. So how do you manage those initiatives? So it's all about values, which drives behavior, and behavior drives action, and the action drives results. And that's what we are looking at. And we would like to tell BW that they should take these initiatives as a next steps going forward. My last question of this panel is again to Ravjot and Dr. Singh, if you want to quickly talk about that. It's important that your workforce is healthier, right? They are more happier, they're more resilient, they're more agile, right? And environment and sustainability also plays a critical role in the entire integration of the same. So tell us some of the initiatives, Ravjot, which you have taken in your organization in terms of creating a sustainable and healthy workplace ecosystem.
So yeah, coming back to this, I think there are a lot of things happening related to the mental wellness also these days, right? Where a lot of mental wellness sessions are being conducted, which we also do with our organization, right? With different types of these companies. And what I also realize is that giving a off-site kind of a break to your employees, it's not something where, you're taking out, even if you just take them for a 2-day break somewhere outside with your colleagues and everything, you would understand that their brain is functioning the same way, but the ideas are coming out.
Exactly.
Right. So maybe the environment changes the functionality, how they do it, and they would be thinking out something fresh. Otherwise, in the office, it would be the same dilemma.
True.
And I'll be coming back and say, okay, this is the same thing which I'm getting out. I would be not getting anything new. So get that more from your employees. So these considering India, the workplace environments are very tough, right? To be very true, in somewhere for women's safety is a challenge and everything. So considering I have a call center, I make sure that there is no women working after 8 p.m., right? Because I also have to make sure that these are my responsibilities till the time there's not a security guard, or I make those efforts to do that. So that is also, apart from that, the mental wellness, as I've already spoken about, the other things which we also take care of is the routine checks. considering we are the emergency providers. So we do that checks within ourselves. Even if there's a paramedic coming in, I would like to test everybody.
Very nice.
Get all the BP done and everything. So in an interview also I get these things done.
True.
So that at least I realize what he's doing, and at least the people who are working with me know what they're standing at.
Exactly.
And I'll just share one instance, right? So there's this person who was working with us, right? And he's quite aged, like around 45, 6 year old guy. And you would be knowing that there's fits which happens, right? And I was not aware that he had this kind of a condition, right? So first day it happened, he told me, no, it just happened. He fell off from the chair, and I was like, okay. I took him to the, he told me that, just take me back to home. So I got him and arranged and sent him back to home, right? Then it happened repeatedly, like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, right? So as an employer, I was like, see, at least share. Whatever you're going through, whatever is happening with you, at least share, then only we'll be able to take actions. Then we made a WhatsApp group with his family members. And we used to make sure that, and he would just fall like that on anything, right? And it's scary, right? Even if I'm coming from there, I'm not habitual to see emergencies happening in front of me, right? I would be like very cautious in these cases that, what is happening and everything. So then I realized that, okay, there was a treatment which was missed by him, and hence it backfired to him, right? So then we make sure with his family that, at least he's going for these treatments. And if it has to be compensated by us, we'll do that.
Exactly.
Right? So, yeah, for workplace, it depends individual to individual, but yeah.
So true. In fact, during COVID, when the survey happened by Gallup, the report says that more than 55% of the workplace population were going through stress, anxiety, trauma, and depression, which is impacting on their productivity. And if it is impacting on the productivity, obviously it is impacting on the bottom line of the organization. So how do you do that? Dr. Singh, any inputs from you in this particular point in terms of creating a healthy workplace, sustainable ecosystem?
What a beautiful question, because I think in this rush of commercial activity or meeting targets, it is extremely important. So what our founder, Mata Amritanandmai, says that in this period, what is lacking, everything is available. Every material wealth is available. What is lacking is love. And unfortunately, we don't have time for that. So giving back to the society, when we are all have become consumers, and we all want to take more, but once we start giving back, it becomes more meaningful and fulfilling. So what we have is, we have close to 3,000 construction workers who work in our newer hospital setup. Their kids, we have opened a school for last 6 years, and our faculty members and staff members, they rotate and they take sessions for them.
True.
And similarly, there are a lot of public health activity. We have a 999 campaign where we encourage people to do yoga and meditation, coming from a different background. And intentionally, we have adopted a psychological safe environment. But there are many, many things which have been done. But I think it is important that a forum like this, where it is sort of discussed and people come together and share their practices, would be again a fantastic initiative.
Sure, Doctor. Thank you so much for your insight. In fact, I have been involved in one of the very important project of creating a sustainable, healthy workplace ecosystem through Arogya World. And till date, we have recognized 200 plus companies impacting the life of more than 6.03 million, right, towards leading the healthier life. What we do is we work with the corporates, we help them to understand their current practices, we do their assessment as per WHO standards, we give them the benchmark report of the industry, and we handhold them to create a sustainable culture of the healthy workplaces. And it is majority of the initiatives are divided into two parts, which is physical health and the mental health, right? So we promote healthy eating, no smoking, right? Physical activity, and most critical thing is leaders-led program, right? How leaders in the organization are taking the ownership and responsibility and creating an impact. Because if it is not being managed on a top level, it is very difficult to have a sustainable practices in any of the organization, right? So these are some of the practices which we have been proud of along with WHO and creating more and more sustainable, healthy workplaces towards advancement of the health of the employees. So, to conclude, I think it is the points which has come out very highly and, request to BW that they should take this forward, that how do we ensure that the challenges which has been faced towards high energy consumption and greenhouse gases emission, the best practices have been shared in this panel that should be spread across, the ripple effect should be created and should be implemented. However, the discussion has also highlighted the sustainability and energy efficiency which can be effectively integrated into business strategies to create a positive impact. I think this is very, very imperative which has come out. The adoption of green technologies and the smart building solution was identified as a key factors in reducing the environmental impact of healthcare facilities, which also enhancing patient comfort and safety, which is the most important priority as Ravjot mentioned, right? It was highlighted that the optimized energy usage and implementing the efficiency of diagnostic services to create a sustainable and healthy workplace ecosystem, right? By focusing on the employee well-being, promoting a healthy workplace environment, healthcare organizations can enhance the productivity and contribute to overall sustainability of the organization practices and their policies. Hence, it is crucial for all the stakeholders in the healthcare sector to contribute, collaborate, and drive this positive change, right, to ensure a sustainable and resilient healthcare system. Thank you very much, Dr. Singh, for your experience which you have spoken today and the insightful discussion, Ravjot. I really thankful to the BW for having this important panel discussion.